Violet Jessup was a ship nurse who served on the three sister ships, the Titanic, the Britannic, and the Olympic. She was on board when the Olympic collided with a warship and nearly sank, when the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank, and when the Britannic hit an underwater mine and sank. She survived all three. In 2010, a 13-year-old British teenager was struck by lightning at 1313 on Friday the 13th. He was one of 150,000 people at an air show. A pair of twins separated at birth were both named James on their adoptions. Both of them married women named Linda. They both had a son, one named James Allen with 2 L's and the other James Allen with 1 L. They both had a dog named Toy. Finally, both brothers later got divorced and then married another woman named Betty. A 10-year-old girl named Laura Buxton released a balloon into the sky with her full name and address attached. The balloon floated 140 miles away, where it landed in the backyard of another 10-year-old girl named Laura Buxton. The girls were the same height, they both had brown hair, and they both had 3-year-old golden retrievers at home. The two girls ended up becoming friends and are still friends today. A man was in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb first dropped in World War II. He was 3 kilometers away and was severely burned, but he still reported to work in Nagasaki 3 days later. Just as he was describing the blast to his boss, the second bomb in Nagasaki dropped. He again was 3 kilometers away from the blast zone, and this time he was not injured. In 2016, a woman bought a $10 scratch-off ticket to show her husband that buying lottery tickets is a waste of time. It ended up being worth $1 million. World War I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. The license plate of the car he was assassinated in had the characters A111118. World War I officially ended on 11/11/18. The last person who died constructing the Hoover Dam was the son of the first person who died constructing the Hoover Dam. The creepier part, they both died on December 20th in different years. Edgar Allan Poe wrote a book about 4 sailors who survived their ship sinking but had to eat their cabin boy named Richard Parker. Poe claimed that the story was based on true events, but there was no record of this. 46 years later, this exact story happened, and the cabin boy's name was Richard Parker. Mark Twain was born in 1835 when Halley's Comet was passing, and he predicted that he would die when Halley's Comet passed again, which is only every 76 years. He died the first day Halley's Comet was visible again from Earth in the early 1900s. A Dutch cyclist escaped 2 major world-famous airplane crashes. He was supposed to be on board of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 before he decided to take a flight that was an hour earlier, but he also was supposed to be on board of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, which got shot down over Ukraine in 2014. He changed his flight so that he could save money. The first and last British soldiers who died in World War I are both buried in a Belgium cemetery 6 meters apart, facing each other. This was not a planned arrangement. Before John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln, Booth's brother had saved Abraham Lincoln's son in a train station. Booth's brother was a somewhat famous stage actor who supported the Union in the Civil War. While in a New Jersey train station, Lincoln's son leaned up against a train that he almost fell back into the train tracks when it started moving. Booth's brother grabbed him by the collar and saved his life. Lincoln's son was a fan of Booth's brother, the stage actor, and wrote about the incident later. The same son of Abraham Lincoln witnessed 3 presidential assassinations. While he was not in the theater with Lincoln when he was shot, he rushed to his bedside and sat with him while he passed away. He was an eyewitness to the killing of the 20th president, James A. Garfield, in 1881, and also the 25th president, William McKinley, in 1901. The odds of being hit by a meteor are 1 in 1.6 million, which makes it even weirder when a meteor hit the home of a family with the last name Comet. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and the Comets are now a proud owner of a piece of rock that likely was floating through space for 4.5 billion years. A couple was sifting through their family photos in anticipation of an upcoming wedding. They discovered that they had unknowingly taken their first picture together 11 years before they had met. They grew up 300 miles apart, but the future groom's family just happened to be taking a family vacation in the future bride's hometown. The first and last battles of the Civil War were fought next to the same man's property in two different towns. The Civil War started with the first Battle of Bull Run in 1861, which referred to a stream that went through this man's farm. After the devastation of that battle, he moved to his new town in Virginia. In 1865, Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant in the courthouse that was just feet away from his new home. There used to only be 2 cars in the entire state of Ohio in 1895, and they somehow crashed into each other. Esther and Paul had been seeing each other for a short time before Paul decided to ask Esther to be his girlfriend. That day, while paying for a sandwich, he noticed a dollar bill he was about to hand the cashier had the word Esther written in pencil. He kept the bill and decided to frame it and give it to her as a gift. She was speechless when she saw it, but told him to ask her about it later. Years later, after they were married, the framed dollar resurfaced in their home. Esther had apparently written her name on a few different dollar bills after a breakup. She said to herself that she would marry the man that brought it back to her. She did not tell him in the moment because she did not want to scare him away with marriage talk so early in the relationship. But in that moment, she believed that he was the one. Finnair Flight 666 departed from Copenhagen and landed in Helsinki, aka Hell, on Friday the 13th. Yes, you heard me right. Flight 666 flew straight into hell on Friday the 13th. The only reason we have occasional solar eclipses is because the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but also 400 times further away than the moon, so the size is perfect. The crazy thing is, the moon is constantly moving away from the Earth, so this was not always the case. Follow me for more crazy coincidences and other awesome facts.